right? And very often we're the only lifeline for people, for individuals, for families, and once again, sometimes for corporations. And it's important for us to not take that lightly. We're often the first to know when someone plans to come out to their family with regards to sexuality. We're often the first to know when someone feels like they're spiraling out of control or that they have uncontrolled or unmanaged symptoms. We're often the first to find out when someone has had an affair or when their spouse has. And very often we are the first to know when someone has been assaulted or abused. When someone's dealing with trauma. Sometimes people hold on to trauma for decades and they don't tell a soul, but they tell us. We are often the first to know when someone plans to leave their spouse. We are often the first to learn when someone is experiencing trauma, loss, or a crisis, or unfortunately, when someone decides they no longer want to live. We help people acquire skills and tools and rebuild relationships. And we help people to develop new ways of thinking and to improve their emotional and mental health and their quality of life. That's just a small handful of the things we do. ERs are full of clients that really should be in our offices, but we're booked. And 6 in 10 psychologists say they don't have openings for new patients. According to a survey conducted by the American Psychological Association, nearly half, 46%, said they have been unable to meet the demand for treatment, and nearly 3/4, 72% exactly, have longer wait lists than before the pandemic. So we are needed. So look at a counselor next to you and say, I'm glad you're here, you're needed. You are in high demand. With this, though, guys, comes a different level of responsibility, a different level of integrity, diligence, and involvement, and leadership. Nadia mentioned leadership. And yes, each of you are leaders. I'm aware that you didn't sign up for a leadership role, but society is looking to us for leadership, for help in many ways. For hope, for guidance when things are tough. Everyone needs our help today. News channels, talk show hosts, schools, first responders, the federal government, as I said, and more seeking our services. I have facilitated multiple webinars for the federal government over the past few years. It's needed. They understand that keeping their employees well is important. At this rate, we're rapidly moving into a kind of a first responder situation in our field of work. Now, let's define first responder. That's a person with a specialized training who is among the first to arrive and provide assistance or incident resolution at the scene of an emergency. Now, I am not comparing our work to the work of a police officer or a fireman in any way. I have responded to some really serious situations, and so have you. First responders. We may not be there right when the critical incident happens, but they're calling us usually within 24 hours. Suicides, helping employees process the loss of their colleagues, and why they didn't know colleagues planned to take their own lives. When school shootings happen, natural disasters, and other tragedies occur, we are at the top of the list of who is being called. I received a call in Illinois in 2022 to provide virtual assistance for employees at a company in New York after the Buffalo, New York massacre last year. I'm in Illinois, in a completely different region of the country, but they called because we are needed. There's not enough of us to go around. That's as close to first responding that we can get without being an actual first responder. And like I said, I'm not comparing our work to that of a fireman or a police officer. I'm simply saying that we help to save lives and we provide support, care, and resources during our community's toughest times. Now, we're not walking into burning buildings, but sometimes the fire is in a person's thoughts, in their marriage, at work, concerning their children, losing their parents, and so forth. We don't need shielding from gunfire, but there are a lot of workplace hazards with the work that we do. Now, I believe it's a little bit scary for a lot of people in our field when they hear things like we're rapidly becoming first responders, or there's this huge need for our services. I think it's scary for some people because our profession is a very private profession. Everything's about confidentiality, right? It's it's all quiet and hush hush. But every time you turn on the news or you log onto the internet, we are hearing about mental health professionals. We see therapists on just about every news show possible over the last few years. And I think that is sometimes scary. But guess what? There's a call. And the question is, will we answer the call? Will we remain private in our practices and in our daily jobs? Or will we answer the call? Because our future looks busy. Sales for the U.S. mental health practitioners industry are expected to grow at a 6.84% compounded annual rate from 2021 to 26, faster than the growth of the overall economy. Faster than the growth of the overall economy. So prepare to stay busy. Job growth. I have a few slides here for you. There's anticipated job growth for mental health counselors and marriage family therapists. They're expecting this to be just robust. And once again, veterans, there's an increase there. Industry employment is projected to increase 16.4% between 2020 and 2030 for marriage and family therapists, much faster than the average rate for other occupations. So that's something to keep in mind. And there's going to be increases, and there actually are already, increases in the number of insured and laws requiring parity private insurance coverage for mental illness boosts the potential client pool and options for payment. The job growth is going to occur. It's already in motion. Do our part. So my call to action is, will you advocate? Will you volunteer? Advocacy, involvement, networking, connection, and leadership. And all of us can just go to our offices and make our money. We don't have to do any of this. But being committed to our professions without being connected to our profession is risky. But will you advocate? Will you volunteer? Will you connect with us? No matter how hard it is. Do it when it's hard. Do it when you're afraid. Remember, eternal vigilance is the price of freedom.